tonight. Kidnapped students of the College of Forestry in Kaduna State cry for help in a video as 180 of their colleagues rescued from the bandits are reunited with their families. President Buhari commends troops for their timely intervention in the Kaduna school abduction, vows to resist attempt by bandits to destroy the nation's school system. Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo says Nigeria can leverage on her position to improve its trade as she visits the country. And Italy to shut shops in schools as COVID-19 infection spikes amid warnings of a new wave of the pandemic. Plus, sports and business.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves falls to 10-month low despite continued rally in oil prices amid weakening inflow of foreign currency.
On sports news tonight, new CAF President Patrice Motsepe asked national associations to set their eyes on making African football a dominant player in global sport.
Those are the kidnapped students of the Federal College of Forestry, Kaduna, in a video released by their abductors, which may be disturbing and viewer discretion is advised. The abducted students are seen being beaten by their captors as they pleaded with the government to rescue them urgently. They are seen huddled together and sitting on tree leaves with gun-wielding men, some of them dressed in military uniform, keeping watch over them. The Kaduna State government had put the number of those kidnapped at 39, 23 females and 16 males.
We are pleading on the government to come and rescue us. Most of us here have been injured, badly injured. Time is going. Most of us here are having health issues, and they are complaining about the government trying to send security operatives to come and rescue us from here, which is almost and a half impossible because these people, they have surrounded us, saying anybody that comes from anywhere to come and rescue us or do anything by force, they are going to take our lives. And they are pleading on the government to come. We are pleading on the government to come now that is early, because these people, they have bad minds towards us. We are pleading on the government to come and help us, because without the government coming to our rescue this early and having any settled issue with them, there will be a serious problem with us. We are pleading on the government to come and help us.
Meanwhile, the Federal College of Forestry, Afaka, has been shut down and the students asked to leave the school premises. This comes after yesterday's attack by bandits on the school, where they abducted 39 of the students. 180 of them were rescued by troops of the Nigerian Army and were returned to the school from the Ribadu military cantonment in the state capital today and reunited with their families.
180 students of the Federal College of Forestry, Afaka in Kaduna State, returned to the school premises to pack their bags and belongings after their abduction earlier in the week. These are the lucky ones who claim to have escaped into the bush nearby and later rescued by soldiers from the 1 Division of the Nigerian Army. They were handed over to the Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency.
Parents have been asking for these students to be released to them. So ordinarily, they would have been released yesterday, but we needed to manage that trauma, as I said yesterday, and get them to a certain level of comfort, which we have done in collaboration with 1 Division of the Nigerian military. That we've done, and today, under the cover of the military, we brought the students all back into campus today so that they can pick all of their items and then we'll hand it over to their parents. We've done.
It appears to have been an agonizing wait for parents and loved ones who are happy to be reunited with the students. It's been a traumatizing couple of days for some of the victims, as 3 of them faint upon their arrival. Although the school has now been shut down till further notice, this student recounts the harrowing experience asking the federal government to intensify efforts to rescue those still missing.
Apartments, reading, so on my way going back to the hostel, so I take my route to front of the girls' hostel, the female hostel. So I met, though it's from afar, I sighted them when they were dragging girls, trying to take the girls away. So there's a guy from there that they take from the JICA that directed them to the girls' hostel. So they were like trying to harm the guys, so we just find a way and escape. We are seeking for the help of the government and also the school management to help us and bring back our classmates and our sisters and brothers also.
I'm not too happy because as a mother and as a lecturer, many of them have passed through me. I've taught them in the class and I feel so bad. Even seeing the video that was sent yesterday, I saw their pictures there and they were so rejected. I was so devastated, but it wasn't easy. I know it's not going to be easy for them. Even we, that are the lecturers, it's not easy for us. We are so sad that this type of thing is happening.
The frequency of kidnappings by bandits targeting schools in recent times has become a major concern for many, with the closure of the school because of security threats, a threat in itself to the education of the future generation.
Still in Kaduna State, the Nigerian army has been explaining how it foiled an attempt by armed bandits on the Turkish International Secondary School. The army states that acting on a tip-off on the planned abduction of the children in the Rijajukun area of the state, troops of Division 1 Quick Response Force quickly mobilized to protect the school from the bandits. According to Brigadier General Mohammed Yerima, while the troops were securing the school, another distress call was received that bandits had stormed the Federal College of Forestry in Afaka. He explained that the troops swiftly moved to the scene in Igabi local government area and engaged the armed bandits to prevent them from kidnapping the staff and students of the school. Following the Kaduna attack, the president has issued a stern warning to would-be terrorists and bandits targeting schools, saying the country will not allow them destroy the education system. In a statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Mr. Garba Shehu, President Muhammadu Buhari commends the efforts of the Kaduna state government and the early response of the military, which led to their rescue. While commending their efforts, the president says, a country which has an efficient local intelligence network is a safer country. Our military may be efficient and well-armed, but it needs good efforts for the nation's defense, and the local population must rise to this challenge of the moment. He ordered that the others who are still missing be found and returned safely to their families. Meanwhile, the governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, is optimistic that the other students still in captivity of the bandits in Kaduna State will be released soon. The governor, who is also the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, says the government is taking measures to tackle insecurity and results will be visible in a matter of months. He gave the assurance when he visited his colleague in Nasarawa State, Governor Abdullahi Sule.
Insecurity is not something you can take care of in a day. And when we had our meeting in the Northern Governors Forum, we are not saying that we are going to do that in a day. We are also taking measures to address these issues in the coming months. And then if you notice, there are a lot of things that are going on even in the Northeast, around Maiduguri, around Kaduna. And so you expect when you are attacking them all over, they are moving to other places. But then we are very, very hopeful that at the end of the day, those students are going to be rescued. So that is the kind of measures that we are also taking. You see, my brother, the governor of Nasarawa, is here. We are all raising the consciousness and making people get alert at the insecurity. So we are really putting every measures and very hopeful, like the military have said, that in the next few months everything will be over.
In Edo State, Wednesday's kidnap of a female lecturer and student of the National Institute of Construction Technology, Uromi, continues to generate anger. Students and lecturers in the school staged protests in the town today, calling on the authorities to ensure the rescue of the victims. Our correspondent, Osaze Obaze, reports that they also demand more security within the school premises.
Students of the National Institute of Construction Technology, Uromi, are out here at Mission Road, Uromi, to express their grievances over what they describe as lack of security in their school. They vow not to sit for their exams until the release of their kidnapped lecturer and student. The student is a survivor and an eyewitness.
On our way home, inside the school, Fulani just came from inside the bush and attacked us. We were able to escape and they took our staff and our students. They dragged them inside. They were shooting guns.
Both the academic and non-academic staff are equally dismayed over the level of insecurity in the area as they call for urgent action from the government.
It is our prayer, sincerely, that all stakeholders, especially the security personnel, that they should, in fact, give us maximum security as far as the Uromi community is concerned.
The school premises is about 15 minutes drive from the town, and a police checkpoint supposedly to boost security is about 50 feet from the entrance. There's an impressive gate here, but the premises is devoid of any perimeter fencing. The public relations officer of the institute takes us to the crime scene. It tells us how it happened.
This is exactly the spot where the suspected herdsmen were hiding. Behind this bamboo tree you can see here, when our students were coming from their exam hall and his staff in the vehicle. So they laid siege against them here and took two of our staff, two of our members of our community, that is a female staff and a student.
When contacted, the Edo State Police Command insisted that the police were on the trail of the gunmen and efforts were run to ensure the safe return of the kidnapped victims. Osazobaza Channels Television News.
You must rid Nigeria of terrorists. That's the fresh mandate by the president to troops of Operation Lafia Dole fighting insurgency in the northeast. The message was conveyed by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, who visited the theater command today. He was accompanied by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, Chief of Air Force, Air Marshal Isiaka Mao, and Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Anwar Gambo. Is the second visit of the service chiefs to the troops since their appointment in January.
Since we came, the theater commander, along with his officers, have been giving us a thorough brief beyond the reports that we have received at the headquarters. And we can only commend you, for the resilience that you have shown this past 1 month loss. The various successes that you have recorded, in spite of a few drawbacks, that did not deter you, but you remain committed, you remain resilient. It is worthy of commendation. Mr. President is also kept abreast of all issues regarding your operational engagements. And of course, as we go back, you will be briefed accordingly. On a daily basis, he follows the development here in the theater and across other theaters across the country. And what I need to let you know is that we have a mandate from him, and that mandate must be achieved. So this is the reason why we are working assiduously, and we are commending you to say that all issues of violence and insecurity, especially within Operation Lafia Dole area, must come to an end.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting live from Channel 7 in Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Kidnapped students of the College of Forestry in Kaduna State cry for help in a video as 180 of their colleagues rescued from the bandits are reunited with their families. President Buhari commends troops for their timely intervention in the Kaduna school abduction, vows to resist attempt by bandits to destroy the nation's school system. Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo Iweala, says Nigeria can leverage on her position to improve its trade as she visits Nigeria. And Italy to shut shops in schools as COVID-19 infections spike amid warnings of a new wave of the pandemic. About 2 weeks after her resumption as the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo Iweala has arrived in Nigeria on an official visit. She was received by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. Dr. Okonjo Iweala told journalists at her home that she's in Nigeria to show appreciation to the President for his support, as well as discuss how the country can leverage on her position to improve its trade using the African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
I hope to be able to see His Excellency the President, the Chief of Staff, the Minister of Trade and Industry, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Finance, the Governor of the Central Bank, and the organized private sector, as well as micro, medium, and small enterprise. Women entrepreneurs, I'd like to meet with the women. And the whole objective is to see how the WTO can better assist Nigeria and Nigerian entrepreneurs with respect to improving the economy. Nigeria's share of trade in Africa, we hope to be able to use the African Continental Free Trade Agreement to improve our trade. And to do that, of course, we have to improve investments. We have to add value to some of our products. We have this Continental Free Trade Agreement is a unique opportunity for us to be able to engage commercially with the other nations in Africa, and that will boost exports. And then when you boost exports, you create more jobs. We're also going to talk about the digital economy and how young people are accessing the internet for e-commerce. So those are some of the issues. What more can we do to support all of that and generate more activity?
More top government officials and health workers have continued to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. The Benue State Governor, Bala Mohammed, has become the first to receive the first dose of the AstraZeneca jab in his state. He did so alongside his wife, the Deputy Governor, and other government officials, including traditional and religious leaders. After receiving the vaccine, Governor Mohammed asked the federal government to allocate funds for vaccine purchase and not rely on donations.
Dr. Mutala, Bismillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. That's beautiful. I come back Amasama. Allah. That's the Kaura of Bauchi. Let's put our hands together to His Excellency, please. Wonderful.
I want to plead on behalf of Nigerians and subnationals that this vaccination is not enough. We cannot play politics with vaccination and with our health. Nigeria is rich enough to buy vaccine. We should not be a beggar nation. I am urging the federal government to make sure that we look for resources, not to depend on COVAX, to be able to cover all our population. This is the most important thing to do. Because 150 doses, 80,000 down for 8 million people in Bauchi is nothing. We must do something much more than what we are doing. I know the federal government and the state have contending needs on the treasury, but I'm urging us to make sure, especially the federal government, that this vaccination and purchase of vaccines is given the desired attention it requires. And it should be done timely.
Meanwhile, in Delta State, the government commenced the vaccination today with Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, his wife Edith, and members of the state's executive council taking their turns at the government house, Asaba. Governor Okowa appealed to all residents to take advantage of the opportunity to get vaccinated, giving assurances of its safety and more doses to be delivered to the state in April.
We want to reassure our people in Delta State that the vaccine is safe and that they should ignore the various social media reports. There is no doubt that with every drug and with every vaccine, it is possible to have minimal side effects. It is not something that will deter us from taking the vaccination. It is something that is common, and there is no scare concerning this particular vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine. Neither is there any scare concerning all other COVID-19 vaccines that have been approved by the WHO. The AstraZeneca vaccine has been approved by the WHO. It has also been approved by NAFDAC and it's been applied in several countries. As we speak today, over 100 million doses.
From Delta, we move to Enugu State, where health workers at the State University of Technology Teaching Hospital Isolation and Treatment Center are the first to receive the jab in the state, which had received 65,410 doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. The Executive Secretary, Enugu State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. George Ugu, says that decision to start with frontline health workers is in line with the protocol of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
Enugu State took delivery of 65,410 doses of COVID-19 vaccine. Following that historic event, in the last couple of days and weeks, the Enugu State Primary Healthcare Development Agency has been doing trainings and preparations and getting everybody and everywhere ready with our over 102 teams that will handle COVID-19 vaccination in this first phase all over Enugu State. We have also made adequate arrangement for cold chain, ensuring with the help of our government that the COVID-19 vaccine is protected and preserved and kept at the right temperature.
Medical practitioners are asking the federal government to create a special fund for the treatment and management of kidney disease in the country. They are asking the government to include treatment and management of the disease in the National Health Insurance Scheme, although that comes with huge costs, especially for low-income earners.
51-year-old Abdulkadri Amadu is considered a walking miracle. He has survived 3 kidney transplants within 11 years. His situation was further worsened over the years as he caved into other diseases. In 2020, Abdulkadri lost 7 friends to COVID-19. They equally suffered from kidney disease.
The first one was really strange. You know, we're told that we need a transplant to have my normal life back. Normal life means that after the kidney transplant, everything will come back okay, but you'll be living on another kidney. Somebody had to donate a kidney for you, and that was how we started on that. So I'm on drugs every day for the past how many years now? I had my first transplant in 2002.
According to the Nigerian Association of Nephrology, over 20 million Nigerians suffered from kidney disease in 2020. The association adds that only 10% of Nigerians with chronic kidney disease know they have it. Chronic kidney disease often has no symptoms in its early stages and can easily go undetected in most people until it is in its advanced stages. At this time, an individual can develop kidney failure and require dialysis or a kidney transplant to maintain life.
First of all is decreased urinary output. You notice that you're not urinating as much as you used to go to the hospital. Second of all, look at your legs. If they are swollen more, in as much as it's not just peculiar to kidney diseases. Somebody who has heart failure can have, edema on the legs and all of that.
So why is it difficult to detect the disease in its early stage?
Kidney disease is almost always asymptomatic in the early course of the disease and for a large period of time. So kidney disease becomes symptomatic very late in the course. What does that mean? The body tries to compensate for kidney dysfunction for a long time while people are ongoing having kidney disease.
A typical dialysis session will be required at least 2 to 3 times a week for 3 to 5 hours. This usually costs between 20 and 50,000 naira per session. According to medical practitioners, the transplant costs an average of 6.5 million naira in a health facility within the country. It costs more for treatment outside the country.
That costs quite a lot of money. And so governments typically tend to assist either through insurance systems or through general social health network systems to provide for such care.
The kidney issues and they've done their transplant, they are not diabetic. There are some who have diabetes, some are suffering from hepatitis. See, like now I'm hepatitis free. I thank God for that. But it wasn't easy. I had to buy the drugs. One can of it, almost $400 for just a can of 20 tablets.
As Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark the 2021 World Kidney Day, the Nigerian Association of Nephrology wants the government to do more to educate the public on kidney disease prevention.
As speculations on possible hike in the pump price of petrol continues, filling stations in Abuja are witnessing long queues of vehicles again. But the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, insists that there is neither fuel scarcity nor the hike in the price of the product, just as the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, warns marketers against hoarding. Our correspondent, Empress Simon, has this report.
For a second time in less than 1 month, Abuja, the nation's capital, is witnessing long queues at filling stations. Motorists wait for hours before they are attended to. At the NNPC mega station located in Area 10, the queue stretches about half a kilometer, a rather frustrating experience for motorists.
I've been here for the past 3 hours and you can see the queue, and apart from the queue moving, there are still some sharp practices. So in fact, we don't really know where we are going to in this country. It is just only unfortunate that in a country where we have the crude, we cannot refine our product. It's just only unfortunate.
You'll be here for the past how many hours? You can't get fuel, you can't go home, you can't even go reverse back or go forward. So it's a pity for we Nigerians. With your money, you can't even get what you want. And the big men over there, they don't feel the pains we the common men are facing.
It's pathetic, it's regrettable, and we hope that they should find a lasting solution to this. I don't see any reason why there should be consistent, persistent or incessant hike in the price of fuel.
In some filling stations, a litre of petrol is sold for 162 naira, but not all the pumps are in use. Officials from the Department of Petroleum Resources, led by the zonal controller, inspect some of the filling stations to ensure marketers are not shortchanging consumers.
DPR is on top of all the retailers to make sure that they don't hoard the product. Any product that is loaded at the depot has got to its proper destination. And I'm urging the marketers not to try and do anything that is against the law, or else we are all out for them.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Resources reiterates its denial of possible increase in pump price of petrol, or where the rumors began.
We said we are not going to increase the pump price of petrol in March, and we are still standing by that. We are not going to increase in March. We have adequate sufficiency of PMS in the country, and there's really no need for anybody to panic. And like I stated, the ex-depot price from NNPC is still as it is. It has not increased, and it will not increase in this month of March, just like we earlier stated.
While it remains unclear where this speculation emanated from, most Nigerians, especially the masses, pray it's not a future reality. Empress Simon, Channels Television News.
Reddington Hospital has submitted more medical records of the protesters it treated to the Lagos State Judicial Panel on restitution for victims of SARS and other related matters. The counsel to the panel, Mr. Jonathan Ogunsanya, says the panel now has in its possession a total of 25 case notes. These are more detailed and will help give clarity to the cases of the petitioners. Our correspondent, Shola Shoeli, has this report.
The panel listed 10 cases for hearing. Reddington Hospital is first on the list, and a trauma and orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Babajide Lawson, takes the stand to continue his testimony. His last testimony before the panel on the 30th of January was cut short owing to the incomplete medical records of all the patients the hospital treated in the aftermath of the October 20, 2020 incident at the Lekki toll gate. The doctor has brought more medical records to assist the panel in its fact-finding. He reiterated the fact that the hospital was more concerned with saving lives, and one of the consequences of this was that documenting the time patients arrived was not a priority.
This is a case of a mass casualty. Priority is to save life, and I've already mentioned that that is not usually done. If you walk in today on your own to the emergency room, you can find a single patient. But a ton of people are brought in with gunshot injuries, people are bleeding, and you're asking me what time it is. I think it's misplaced priority.
Thank you very much.
The doctor also admits that the next petitioner, Lucky Philemon, had life-threatening injuries when he presented at the hospital. Philemon, a casual worker who now works with the aid of crutches, had told the panel that he was shot by the army at the Lekki toll gate protest on the night of October 20, 2020. He is demanding to be paid compensation of 200 million naira as damages for the inconvenience of losing his limbs, as well as another $50,000 for prosthetic limbs. Philemon denies the insinuations that he could have been shot by persons who hijacked the protest.
You will be surprised to learn that it wasn't soldiers alone that shot at that building on that same day. There are other people with unauthorized weapons who shot.
No, I did not do anything like that.
Another witness, Richard Oku, also narrated how soldiers opened fire on the protesters. His testimony places Philemon as one of those injured and in need of help as a result of the shooting.
The firing of the gun was so strong, so I have to get up and find my way. By getting up to find my way, I saw one other man that was standing beside me. He fell on the floor with the gunshot. The bullet entered. He was trying to get up. He could not get up. So I found out that one would not make it. So I found out the other young man that I met here. He was on the floor. He was trying to get up. That one, I saw that he was still having string. I found out gunshot was on his leg. So other people were marching, other ones running. So I have to stop one other boy among the crowd that was running. I said, you should please assist me. We should pick him up. The other young man I met here, we picked him up. We placed him beside the fence at the Lekki toll gate there, where it will be more safe, so that people will not march in.
There are still a lot of unanswered questions. Where are the bullets extracted from the gunshot victims? Or in the words of the doctor, the mass casualty the hospital had to deal with on the night of October 20, 2020. Does mass casualty even mean that all the patients had gunshot wounds? And did the bullets come from the military or other sources? The panel will hear more from Reddington Hospital on the 27th of March. Shola Shoyeli, Channels Television News.
In Benue State, the police command has announced the murder of the wife of a retired Deputy Inspector General of Police, Mrs. Eunice Ahaya. She was the wife of Mr. Ibe Ahaya, who was the Commissioner of Police in the state. According to the State Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Catherine Anene, the victim was killed by gunmen at her Makurdi residence on Saturday afternoon. She says the police have launched an investigation into the incident and details will be released when completed. Farmers in Yobe State are asking the state government to be proactive in preventing the farmer-herder crisis in their communities. They made a call at Buniyadi, the headquarters of Juba Local Government Council, a community worse hit by both Boko Haram insurgency and the conflict between farmers and herdsmen. When compared to others, Yobe State has reported lower cases of farmers-herders conflict, even though those cases led to loss of lives, animals and property. In a bid to avert such crisis, especially as the 2021 farming season sets in, the Yobe State government is taking precautionary measures by summoning district and ward heads of the two groups as well as security operatives for a meeting.
I call a meeting, a general security meeting, with all stakeholders around to discuss a way out so that we will not face same problem as before. Farm produce have been taken away or have been destroyed by these farmers, and some of even the inhabitants have been even slain by these people. So it is very, very unfortunate. It was very unfortunate. That's the reason why we want to start it earlier, so that to see a way out.
At the end of the meeting, both parties are advised to be civil.
The strategy is to bring all the stakeholders together one-on-one so that we can discuss how to deal with this situation. But basically the problem is between the farmers and the cattle rearers. And based on that stakeholders conference that we organized, all parties were made to understand that just as animals are private property, so also are farms are also private property.
Some participants believe a proper demarcation of grazing routes will go a long way to solve the problem.
This year, we had a lot of visiting nomads. They destroyed farms and their animals were killed. The government should demarcate the grazing routes by giving the herders their rights. The routes have been taken over or sold away by some traditional rulers.
In the last 2 years, we had a serious challenge with herders. This year, only 50% of our farm produce were taken home. The herders are complaining of grazing routes. If that would solve the problem, government should demarcate these routes so that we can have peace.
Over 80% of residents depend solely on agriculture and believe finding a permanent solution to the conflict will improve economic development in the state. About 100 internally displaced persons in Adamawa State have received various items from the Northeast Development Commission in the state. The IDPs are those who escaped to Adamawa from neighboring states following the recent attacks on their communities by Boko Haram insurgents who destroyed their home and carted away food items. The Commission says the intervention is to bring relief to the victims and assist them in settling down. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Ewawa, has stressed the need to stop human trafficking in the country as it poses a huge threat to the nation's security. She mentioned this when the Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Mrs. Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, visited the NIDCOM's headquarters in Abuja.
As long as the traffickers are walking about freely, trafficking will not stop. So it's important to know those people trafficking these young girls and boys abroad and name and shame them and ensure that the hands of the law catches up with them. And I'm glad that that is the priority you're bringing to the table. And we commend you for that, and we're sure we'll succeed with that. Then massive awareness. A lot of massive awareness. In our work so far with NAPTIP and seeing these girls, boys return home, you realize that a lot of them didn't even know what they're going into. So a lot of awareness using those that have returned, and there are quite a lot of them, to tell their stories.
The Anambra State government has waded into the agitation of the Umweri people of Anambra East local government area following a protest over alleged encroachment into their lands by the state government at the Anambra Airport City project site. The Commissioner for Lands mentioned that Governor Willie Obiano has released part of the land and compensation to the community.
Barely a week ago, one of the major entrances into the Anambra Airport City project site in Umweri, Anambra East local government area, was barricaded by agitated residents. Residents who are members of the host community who donated their land where the airport project is ongoing are protesting against alleged encroachment by the state government into their ancestral homes.
We cannot be IDP in our town, and we cannot turn to refugee in our town in the name of the airport. We gave this land with happiness due to we need the airport. But today, as you can see, all the old women, old men, youth, everybody are here. We are now crying.
For us to move out of our ancestral homes because of the project, it is not, honestly, it is not worth doing.
The state police wades into the matter to ensure that the protest does not degenerate into violence. But the protest may have yielded results, as the state government has a new plan to resolve the matter.
The monetary compensation has been paid for Parcel A, Parcel B, and are waiting for Parcel C to be given to them. The Parcel C is about 500 something hectares of land, which is the payment monetary compensation is about 270 million. Like as I said, the money is ready. It's just to have approved the money, and the Accountant General is willing and ever ready to release the money to them when they are ready, and we've notified them the same.
The state government says its decision to release part of the land to the community is a critical one, as the area in question was marked for the second runway to avert future demolition consequences.
Let's find out what's happening in the world of business. Teniola is standing by.
Thanks a lot, Melinda. Welcome to Business News. Nigeria's foreign reserve has hit its lowest level in 10 months after sustaining the downtrend as outflows of forex surpassed inflows. Latest data from the central bank shows that the external buffers dropped further by $176.57 million to $34.67 billion as at March the 10th. Analysts attribute the persistent decline in the country's external buffers to the CBN's intervention in the forex market in its effort to stabilize the country's exchange rate. Meanwhile, the naira went up by 0.2% to 411 against the dollar this week at the investors and exporters window of the forex market, but weakened by 1% to 485 against the dollar at the parallel market. Meanwhile, the domestic stock markets ended the second trading week of March still in the red, and this time with a 1.74% drop on the all-share index and 358 billion naira loss on the total value of listed equities. The losses, which were mostly recorded in 3 trading sessions within the week, were largely due to intense sell pressure on high-value stocks such as MTN Nigeria, Dangote Cement, and big banking sector component, which in turn affected their sector's overall performance. Analysts link the current downbeat mood of investors to the rise in bond yield, which has entered its 5th straight week, as well as the result of the Treasury bills auction, which has made them to further switch liquidity from equities into fixed income securities. The shares of Champion Breweries is best in price performance among 34 gainers with 45.24 12% increase. Eternal Oil is worst among 37 losers with nearly 19% loss, while 89 equities were unchanged. Meanwhile, the shares of UBA, FBN Holdings and Zenith Bank were major contributors to more than 1.67 billion units of equities traded within the week. Now, activities at the Treasury bills remained bearish within the week as the tight system liquidity triggered sell-offs from local banks, while market participants shifted their focus to the primary market auctions in two segments. At this week's OMO auction, the central bank sold 60 billion naira worth of bills to market participants and maintained auction stop rates on the 91-day and 182-day bills, but increased the rate to 6.5% on the 364-day bill, its highest level since February 2020. Meanwhile, the CBN is expected to roll over maturities worth 47.06 billion naira at its primary market auction on Wednesday next week. To some company news now, the 2021 International Women's Day has come and gone, but issues of women empowerment remain critical as more organizations continue to commit funds for their socio-economic development. The latest of such interventions is coming from the Bank of Industry. The managing director of the bank, who was speaking at an event to celebrate the day, said that over 100 billion naira has been dispersed to female entrepreneurs in the country.
March the 8th annually is celebrated as the International Women's Day. The 2021 theme, which is tagged Choose to Challenge, highlights the importance of challenging biases, stereotypes and misconceptions in the interest of creating a more inclusive and gender-equal world. The Bank of Industry, as other years, joined in the celebration, but this time virtually.
Women in leadership positions.
Government officials at the meeting used the occasion to remind women of how they can access funds towards making their businesses thrive.
My ministry's strategic aspiration is to accelerate the diversification of the Nigerian economy for economic growth, job creation and poverty alleviation, with specific focus on women-owned businesses. We have reinforced this through the MSME Survival Fund, where 45% is dedicated to female-owned businesses.
The gender financing gap in Africa is reported to be $42 billion between men and women. While this is a worrisome statistics, the Bank of Industry announces a partnership with development finance institutions to change this narrative.
Since the establishment of the bank's gender business desk, which cater specifically to female entrepreneurs, we have successfully disbursed close to 100 billion naira to over 1,500 women-led enterprises. In addition to financial support, the gender desk also provides much-needed business advisory and capacity building services, leveraging our strategic partnerships with more than 300 business development service providers called BDSPs nationwide.
But like Oliver Twist, more is still expected from both government and private institutions to empower more women, while short-term and long-term plans remain critical to ensure women are economically empowered.
There's short-term interventions that we can take, which are some of the things that are being done. But we have to have much more longer-term structural decisions and projects that will help to sustain businesses, especially female-owned businesses, through this type of seasons.
Hopefully, this commitment will lead to more women empowerment in the days to come.
The price of Bitcoin has hit a new all-time of $60,000 less than a month after it broke a record of $50,000 high on February the 21st. The latest surge in the price of the world's #1 cryptocurrency, which has maintained a bullish run, comes amid expectations by investors and crypto experts that the digital asset would keep an upward trajectory and achieve wider adoption. Bitcoin has gained more than 14 times its previous value recorded in 2020 when it traded around $3,800. And that's business news tonight. It's back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Teniola. And for the latest in the world of sports, Ayotunde is standing by.
Many thanks, Melinda. Newly elected CAP President Patrice Motsepe has asked national associations to set their eyes on making African football not only competitive, but a dominant player in global sport. Motsepe spoke passionately about the need to create a culture of success on and off the field in African football. The South African billionaire has committed to visiting each of the 54 member associations of CAF in the next 12 months as part of a plan to understand the problems facing them and to assist in creating relationships with the corporate world.
The way that it looks is in relation to a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, when we look at how is the African nations, clubs or teams performing globally, because we have to compete at the highest level in the world and do well. And there is no higher level in the world than the FIFA and the FIFA World Cup.
France Football Federation President Noël Le Graët has been re-elected for a fourth term after a crushing victory against his two rivals today. The 79-year-old saw off Frédéric Thierry and Michel Moulin in the first ballot to earn a further 4 years as president. Le Graët was extending his reign at the head of the domestic football scene after his previous election wins in 2011, 2012 and 2017. One item on his agenda will be the findings of an external reporting commissioned in September 2020 into complaints from some staff about alleged bullying and harassment in its senior administrative management. In the English Premier League, Chelsea have missed a chance to cement their place in the top four as Leeds United held them to a frustrating goalless draw at Elland Road. The Blues remain in fourth place, and fifth place West Ham are just 3 points behind them with 2 games in hand as the race to qualify for the Champions League looks set to go down to the wire. Crystal Palace claimed their first home win since January as Luka Milivojevic's first half penalty earned them all 3 points against West Brom at Selhurst Park. Dwight McNeil's stunning strike helped Burnley boost their survival hopes at the expense of Everton at Goodison Park, while Manchester City are 3-0 winners at Fulham. Crystal Palace forward Wilfried Zaha has become the Premier League player not to take a knee in solidarity with the anti-racism movement before the match against West Brom. The Ivorian international, Zaha, stood tall while the rest of his Crystal Palace teammates and their opponents kneeled before kickoff at Selhurst Park. The 28-year-old revealed last month that he will no longer perform a gesture which has been followed by Premier League players, officials and staff since June of 2020 because racial abuses persist despite the gesture. And that sports news is back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Ayotunde. Russian police have broken up an opposition conference and detained 200 people, including high-profile opposition figures. The weekend forum had just begun in a Moscow hotel, when the police burst in and said they were detaining everyone. According to police, coronavirus rules were broken and the event was arranged by an undesirable group. Just last month, Alexei Navalny, President Vladimir Putin's most prominent critic, was jailed. He was accused of breaking the terms of a suspended prison sentence while recovering in Germany from nerve agent poisoning, which he blames on the Kremlin. More than half of Italy will be put under the highest level of coronavirus restrictions from Monday. Cases have been rising across the country for the past 6 weeks, exceeding 25,000 a day. The country has also reported more than 100,000 COVID-related deaths, Europe's second highest tally after the UK. Here's more on this and other developments on our COVID-19 Global Update.
Italy, which 1 year ago imposed one of the first national lockdowns, is once again struggling to contain the rapid spread of infections. Amid warnings of a new wave, shops, restaurants and schools will be closed across most of the country on Monday, and for 3 days over the Easter holiday, there will also be a total shutdown. Announcing his resignation, Jordan's health minister, Nathaya Obidat, said he bore moral responsibility for the deaths of 6 patients who were being treated for COVID-19 when wards ran out of oxygen for nearly an hour. He says it's not yet clear why there was an oxygen shortage, but an investigation is on the way. Elsewhere, Tunisia has started vaccinating healthcare workers as part of a larger vaccination campaign that targets nearly 50% of the population. India has recorded nearly 24,900 cases in the last 24 hours, the highest number in months. The country currently has 11.3 million confirmed cases of the coronavirus, the second largest caseload behind the United States. And finally, more than 100 million people in the United States have received at least one COVID-19 vaccine jab, as the Biden administration works to speed up vaccinations countrywide. The U.S. has registered the highest number of COVID-19 cases and coronavirus-related deaths in the world, at more than 29.3 million infections and over 532,000 deaths. But the number of new infections has slowed nationally. President Joe Biden has promised to take a tougher approach to tackling the pandemic, pledging to administer 100 million COVID-19 jabs in his first 100 days in office. God bless you all.
And the main news again. The kidnapped students of the College of Forestry in Kaduna State today cried out for their rescue in a video released by their abductors. This call came as 180 of their colleagues rescued from the bandits were reunited with their families. That's the news at 10 tonight. On behalf of the team, good night.